Good evening, America. Just a big red one guy reminding you that together we must break the machine. Welcome to the BTM cast, where I'll cover topics that you might have missed and I'll give you my opinion and take after review. My opinions and takes in this channel is are mine alone, okay? This is my echo chamber for like-minded people. Also remember, we live in the United States of America and we are free to have whatever opinion we like. We aren't the Borg or the Xenomorph or the Zerg and do not live under the direction of a queen hive mind. With all that said, let's get into it. Well, I've been away for about 2 weeks. I was feeling a little bit under the weather. Made some videos during the week last week, but last weekend I was completely and totally out of it, and I just couldn't come to bring you any news or anything you might have missed last weekend. I was completely and totally out of it. Well, in case you haven't been watching, okay? Everybody knows who Caitlin Clark is, right? I mentioned her in my last live, but what's been going on with her? The Lokes and the Awfuls in the Welfare League that is known as the WNBA are absolutely crushing her. Okay. In the sense that not that she's not having like good games and stuff. She's averaging about 16 points a game. Today she dropped a 23-point game. I think she had something like 9 assists, 8 assists, and 9 rebounds, or the other way around. One of the others. She was playing the Chicago Sky today. But what was done to her in that game, okay, was just absolutely atrocious. Okay. And we're going to get into it because got an article from the Gateway Pundit that covered this earlier after the game was complete. Here we go. There's an article from the Gateway Pundit by Jim Holt from today. Says this keeps happening. Dirty Chicago player Angel Reese bashes Caitlin Clark in the head during game. Flagrant foul called video. So this over here, this is Angel Reese. She has been her and Caitlin Clark kind of been going at it since college. Okay, they've had a rivalry when Angel Reese was at LSU, Caitlin Clark was at Iowa. Um, Angel Reese has got a championship. Caitlin Clark doesn't. Okay. In Caitlin Clark's last years, she made it to the championship, but they lost. And they actually knocked LSU out, Angel Reese and her team. So Angel Reese didn't make it to the finals in this last year's March Madness for the women. Okay. So it says the anticipated rematch game between the Chicago Sky and Indiana Fever turned ugly when Chicago's Angel Reese delivered a brutal elbow to the savior of the WNBA, Caitlin Clark, during a layup attempt. They call her the savior because her game is absolutely incredible. She kind of plays a lot like Steph Curry. If anybody follows the NBA, he's very fast. He he's got like quick hands. He's got quick feet, so his passing skills are incredible. He gets up and down the court very very fast, and he can drain threes on you all day, and he can take the inside shot. So she's a lot like that. She's electrifying. Listen, it's not like there aren't women in this league that aren't good, but she's just brought a separate just gameplay that just makes the game just more. I don't know, when you're watching her play, it's like it's actually nice to watch someone with her skill level because she's actually fantastic. I kind of started watching the WNBA, but I stopped a long time ago. I was a Liberty fan, being from New York and whatnot, and I kept watching them make the finals and lose, so I got tired of it. The game itself got very, very boring, and I couldn't watch it. She brings that extra spice. Says Reese, seemingly aiming to block the shot, she really wasn't, swung her elbow with such force that it hit Clark's head, resulting in the player falling. We're going to have some video coverage of this shortly. The referees intervened, reviewing the video footage before categorizing the foul as a flagrant one. However, this decision has been met with criticism from fans and commentators alike, many of whom believe that the severity of Reese's actions warranted a high penalty. A flagrant foul, there's going to be a breakdown so you know what the fouls are according to the NBA. Okay, so they follow the same rules. Flagrant foul penalty one is when a player makes unnecessary contact with an opponent that could cause injury. This is considered a dangerous play that indicates disregard for the opponent's safety or an intent to harm, which when you see the video, you'll see she was like all in she was definitely trying to hurt her. So according to NBA, referees may use replay whenever they are not reasonably certain whether a foul meets the criteria for a flagrant foul. Previously, the foul had to be called flagrant on the floor in order to initiate instant replay. Now they can just go right to it. So they can essentially call a common foul, right? And just be like, okay, that's a common foul, but they can actually review it. And if one of the refs is like, well, I don't know, it looked kind of nasty, let's check this out. They could go to the videotape, watch it, and they can upgrade it. The definition for a flagrant foul is as flagrant foul penalty 1, unnecessary contact committed by a player against an opponent. Flagrant foul penalty 2, unnecessary and excessive contact committed by a player against an opponent. And when you see this, this should have been a flagrant 2, which also means that if you get a flagrant 2, you get ejected. When a flagrant foul call is made, referees conduct a review and consider the following: whether the foul call be categorized as a flagrant 1 or flagrant 2, thus an ejection, like I just said, or stay as a common foul or change to a technical foul. All right, I forgot they can do that too. Whether any other players committed unsportsmanlike acts immediately prior to and or immediately following the foul. So here we go. We got Colin Rugg. I don't know who this is. This is just in. The WNBA player Angel Reese viciously elbows Caitlin Clark in the head as she goes up in for a layup. Reese could be seen completely missing the ball and making contact with Clark's head instead. She was called for a flagrant 1. Says the move comes as more and more WNBA players, and this is show more. Let's see. Let's get into it here. And uh, during a previous matchup between the Chicago Sky and the Indiana Fever, was seen celebrating after Clark cheap shotted Kennedy Carter. I know that she pronounces it Kennedy Carter, but it's actually I pronounce it Kennedy because that's the correct way. I don't really care. Anyway, so we'll go back to this. Let's check this out. Let me adjust the sound here so that it's not too loud. Sorry about that, folks. Here we go.
Yeah, that's right.
Is being reviewed for possible upgrade to a flagrant.
So, like, I mean, come on now.
Yep, across the head, and they
So,
will go to the monitor.
The second chick was going
to review this
block
one.
her shot, right? So, like, watch this again. She didn't even
Yeah,
have to do
that's
that.
right.
Is being reviewed for possible upgrade to a flagrant.
Look, she blocked her shot, so like she wasn't even going to make the shot. And then boom, she comes down on her head, crashing her down. All right.
Yep, across the head, and they will go to the monitor.
It's just like it's bullshit. Like,
to review this one.
Shit thing to do to somebody when they're in the air. Dave Portney, he was commenting on it. It's his voice. I'm not gonna freaking play. It's the shocker. Angela Reese in the Sky doing Angel Reese and Sky stuff. By the way, Caitlin is cooking them. Yeah, she scores 23 points on them. So here, there's some other views you can see. Refs are going to check it, calls it a flagrant 1. Watch. She just like smacks the fucking shit out of her. And the other girl is like, look, watch. The other chick is she's gonna block this shot. Okay? So like she was there. She was already there. So like Angela Reese or whatever her name is, Angel Reese or whatever, she didn't need to do all that shit, right? And then she came out, tried some bullshit. Okay, say that there's a special whistle for Caitlin Clark. She hit her. She's just a dirty player. This is the second time Clark has been assaulted by a player from Chicago Sky. Kennedy Carter slammed into Clark from behind. Clark had no idea this was coming. Yeah, I know it's pronounced Kennedy, but I'm going to pronounce it Kennedy because that's how it's spelled. This was from 2 weeks ago when they played him. Yeah, I actually showed this on my last video.
And Clark.
Like, come on.
I mean, that's clear all which was called. The question is, will they call it unnecessary? Kennedy Carter.
There's like no need ever to do that. Like, why would you treat another player like that? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no need for that. Okay? You know? I don't get it. Anyway, this young woman, Caitlin Clark, is a special player. Okay? And what I like about her is that she's very humble. Okay? She plays a fantastic game, and she's taking this shit in stride. All right? I mean, they are absolutely abusing her. And like I said, it's the awfuls and the lokes. Okay? They're all treating her like shit. They all feel like just because she's white and she's straight, okay, and you know that she's got privilege of some sort, okay. You know, she, like I said, she's averaging like 16 points a game for a rookie, okay. That's probably pretty common in the league from what I understand for rookies and stuff like that. But she's adapting her game, Okay, so as they come at her and as she plays each game, she's very her basketball IQ is just very very high. Okay, and she keeps adjusting her game. I've watched a couple of games with her in them, and some games was kind of she had a few bad games, but like she's getting better and better, adjusting to how they're playing her. Okay, and she's got, like I said, she's got quick hands, so it's not just her trying to take shots all the time. Okay, because like she could drain threes all day. She dishes the ball. Okay, she makes every player around her better. Okay, you can find highlights of her with her passing. She's got fantastic passing skills. Okay, and she's very quick. And like the girls, the women she plays with have to kind of be on top of it because like she will get the ball to them if she sees that they're wide open. She's not always trying to take shots all by herself. Now, like if she has it and they give it to her, she's gonna take it. And like I said, you can find highlights of her all over YouTube, all over probably Twitter, X, and Instagram. Anywhere you go, you'll find highlights of her. She's a fantastic, fantastic ball player. Okay, and what I feel bad about is that she's a very humble person, and like she's really taking there's a lot of racism being thrown at her. She gets asked these really dumb questions by these really schmuck goofy ass fucking reporters, sports reporters and stuff like that. They ask her, how does it feel being supported by a racist fan base? So all of a sudden, if you're a fan of Caitlin Clark, you're some sort of istophobe. Okay. And I don't know. I've seen like on Instagram, I've seen like people of all colors posting about how they like watching her play. Okay. And defending her for what's being done to her. It's being done deliberately. Okay. The Lokes and Awfuls, they want to hurt her. The idea is to try to get her out of the game. Okay. Team USA snubbed her. Okay, they some bullshit about the craziness of her fans will distract from the team. Team USA, the women's basketball team, has won like 7 championships, I think, 7 gold medals, I think, like back, I mean, in a row. So, like, having Caitlin Clark on the team is not going to stop them from dominating everybody else, okay, in the Olympics and winning another gold. It's not going to stop them. They have that good of a team. So instead, they took some 41-year-old fucking loke, okay, whose like knees can barely fucking move, okay, and instead of taking Caitlin Clark, even if you sit her on the bench, right? the what she's bringing to the league is something incredible. Okay, again, she's just there are other fast women in the sport. Okay, but she just has this knack of getting to where she needs to get to very quickly, getting the ball to whoever needs to get it very quickly, or taking the shot. Like she doesn't hesitate very much when she needs to take a shot, but she will dish up the ball. And she's everywhere she's gone so far. Attendance in each arena, people coming in because they want to see her play and attend she went to the I think she went to the Washington Wizards, no Wizards, they're called the Mystics, I think, to go play. And they have an arena they play at that has something like 5,000 seating for fans. They had to upgrade. They had to go to where the Wizards play in order to get more people in there because they sold out and more people wanted tickets. So they had close to 20,000 people watching her game. She averages 100% in fan base when she gets there. So if it's a 5,000, if whatever team is playing is used to just having 5,000 people in the seats, she makes it 10 once she goes because people want to watch her play. She's very exciting to watch, and I haven't watched the WNBA in a very long time because there's just been crap to watch, and it's just like I said, it's filled with lokes and awfuls, which is terrible messaging. They're just not. They're just terrible people. They act like assholes on and off the court, and it's just like typical pro players. They act like crap, But this girl she's very very based, okay, in the sense that she's very humble. She knows how to handle the media. So when they ask her these dumb questions that she's being followed by, how does it feel to be followed by istophobes, which is like the dumbest shit. The dumbest shit you can do is go after the fans, the people who are bringing the money into this welfare league because it's the NBA subsidizes them for them to exist. They make no money and they're getting everything that they've been wanting for years. She's been an advocate, okay, for the same girls that are bashing up on her constantly, talking shit about her on Twitter and interviews and stuff like that, and just constantly going at her. She's still trying to help the league, and she's not letting that get to her. And she knows how to handle she knows how to handle the idiots in the press very well. So like I kind of appreciate her when she does that. She's very very good at what she does. She's an excellent speaker, and you know I absolutely appreciate her very, very much. Anyway, another good positive thing that's been going on in America is that Gen Z, okay, is, you know, they're hurting right now. Gen Z's got it bad. Okay, they're hurting financially. It's not a good thing that's going on with them. The inflation has absolutely destroyed people's lifestyles here in America, where inflation's through the roof. You can't buy a home, you can't rent an apartment, you can't do anything. And Gen Z has been sold a bill of goods that were just absolutely rotten. Okay, they told these kids, you know, hey, if you just go to college and you rack up all this fucking debt, you'll be fine. You'll just be fine. You'll get whatever job you want the minute you graduate. And these kids believe that shit. Okay. There's a lot of indoctrination going on in schools, but Gen Z's waking up. Okay. I did a I did a video on them about them going more to church. Gen Z is going more to like Eastern Orthodox and Catholic churches and stuff like that, and becoming a little bit more conservative. And they want religion again. They see the mess that is the millennials. Obviously, not all the millennials, but they see their parents, the mess that they are, and they see all these rainbow colored haired weirdos just constantly trying to cancel people. They don't want to be part of it. Are there some Gen Zers that are part of that? Yeah, I'm sure. Okay. But every generation has some idiots in them, mine included, the Gen Xers. We have plenty of idiots. Part of the big things that I hit my generation for is that we stood by idle for a very long time and we watched a lot of shit go to crap. And, we're so used to being alone and doing things alone and having to fend for ourselves that we stood by and just didn't do anything. And we're watching Gen Z just get crushed. But I'm with you, Gen Z. Okay. I know a lot of people have ripped on you guys about, not having a good work ethic, constantly complaining about how you're gonna live on on TikTok videos and stuff like that. But I need you people to understand, Gen Z, okay, is that you're not the only generation that has felt this. We have all gone through it in some form of fashion when it comes to inflation and just not being able to find jobs and stuff. I know it's a lot tougher right now. It's hard, okay? It's really, really hard. A lot of you are coming out of college with these 4-year useless degrees and you can't get jobs. Okay, and it's terrible. But one of the good things that is happening is that Gen Z, okay, is making a push into the blue collar world. Okay, and I'm actually very, very happy about it. So this is an article from Odyssey. They actually, I think they do podcasts and stuff like that. But they did this article. It's called "Gen Z is Making Blue Collar Jobs Cool Again," which I think is awesome. Let's get into it. Gen Z is making blue collar jobs cool again, much to the delight of Dirty Jobs host Mike Rowe. I like Mike Rowe. Uh, he's really good at what he does, and he's constantly trying to find work for people. He does a lot in the sense that he's constantly looking at the trends in the workforce and looking at jobs that need to be filled. Especially, there's a lot of jobs in not only trades, all kinds of trades, not just like the construction trades, but machinists and stuff like that. That are pretty technical jobs, and you need to be kind of smart. And you got to kind of have good math. Much of the delight of Dirty Jobs host Mike Rowe, there seems to be a growing trend of idolizing blue collar jobs on social media, especially among Gen Z, who are boasting about their career fields. I think that's awesome. On social media, younger Americans have begun showing their lives working in blue collar fields like construction and the trades. On TikTok, the hashtag blue collar has amassed more than 500,000 posts this year, trending quicker than it did the year before. Among the posts and accounts growing in popularity are those that show what a day in the life of someone working in construction, electrical, plumbing, or any of the other manual labor or trade job is like. I worked 10 years in construction management, and I remember the unions were pushing, the steam fitters, the electricians, the plumbing, uh, who else? The HVAC. Those are the steam fitters. They were pushing to try to hire a lot of people, okay? Because there's just been a lack of people getting into the trades. Because most of the youth go to college. And let's be real, not everybody's cut out for college, okay? There are a lot of people who go to college, they end up racking up debt, and they don't even finish. And that's like tough. And they have some stupid degree that they can't apply in the real world. And they end up, if they do graduate, you know, if you're going to go to college, and you want, let's say you're trying to be a lawyer or a doctor or a nurse or something like that, an engineer of some sort. Okay, I get it. It makes sense because you need the schooling, right? You need the education to know what it is that you're going to do, especially if you're going to take care of people as a doctor or as a nurse or as a PA or well, as a PA, right? You don't need to be you need to be in the medical field for a little bit before you can apply to PA school, and you got to show that you have time with patients. But if you're a nurse, you move on to become a nurse practitioner or a doctor of nursing of some sort. Okay. But you need that education as professionals, as a lawyer. Okay. If you're an engineer building stuff, whether it's mechanical engineer, an electrical engineer, or a structural engineer, you need that schooling. But unless you're going to do something like that, most of the degrees that are out there are absolute garbage, including business degrees. I hate to say it. Nobody's hiring people with business degrees. There was once a time where people would get hired. If you were in IT and you were in some sort of computer tech jobs, you would get hired. But now they're hiring from overseas, and they're bringing people into this country that are taking your jobs, and that's on the government. And you guys that should be, if you're in the IT field and you can't get a job, you should be fighting for that. It says among the posts, accounts growing in popularity. I read that already. Sorry, people. Some who have started to grow their accounts spoke with the Wall Street Journal about their experience, including 27-year-old electrician Lexus Kuzamak Abreu, who has more than 2.2 million followers across her social media accounts. Now, what you need to know about becoming an electrician is you have to understand math. You got to understand physics too. Okay, um, you have to understand physics because like it's not just you can't. I know it seems easy. You just go pull a socket out. That's not how it works. When you're doing major electrical work, not just shit around your house, okay, and you have to read drawings of where things have to go, you have to know math in order to be an electrician and physics and how things work. She says, you feel just like a normal person until you actually get confronted by people and you're like, oh my goodness, this is real. People know who I am, Kuzumak Abreu said. The clips Kuzumak Abreu posts show her on roofs, installing utility outlets, or doing wiring inside homes. I think that's pretty cool. Now she rakes in over $200,000 a year from social media alone, on top of her electrician salary. Electricians get paid bank. Okay, people, I'm telling you, electricians. I used to, when I was in construction management, I was just a project manager, assistant project manager, um, or assistant engineer and stuff like that. And I worked on HVAC stuff, on not just HVAC, what we call MEPS, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and sprinkler. Okay, so I was responsible for not designing because I wasn't a designer, of making sure all that stuff got installed correctly, make sure that all the moving parts that make up all these systems were ordered, making sure that all my vendors, the contractors that I work with, were on time with not only doing the work but with deliverables, which are equipment and stuff like that. But these guys made so much money, okay, and then when they worked overtime, they raked it in. Says Kuzuma Cabrero says she gets messages from people asking about her work and how they can get into the trades. The trend comes as many look for options that don't include spending thousands at a 4-year university and carrying debt for decades. I'm telling you, unless you're going to be a professional, it's just sometimes it doesn't even just it's not worth it. Among those who are trying to push for younger Americans to return to the trades is the previously mentioned Rowe, who shared with News Nation in April that the trades may offer a better path for students. He goes on to say, we're seeing lots of people go affirmatively toward trade schools away from massive educational debt onto a path that looks an awful lot like prosperity if you can master a skill that's in demand, Rose shared. Along with the usual cheaper schooling and an increased demand, resulting in higher payer positions, Rose said that lots of blue collar jobs have openings while white collar positions are becoming harder to find. It's like, remember what I was saying? They're hiring a lot of foreigners for these white collar jobs, which is sad. There's plenty of Americans who are qualified and they're just not doing it because it's cheaper. For every 5 tradespeople who retire, 2 replace them. So like it's not even a 1 for 1. Okay, so there's a deficit of trades people who are going into of people replacing the people that are retiring. It's been that way for over a decade because I talk to people every day who are making close to 200,000: plumbers, steam fitters, pipe fitters, electricians. Rose said. So, this is something that's like fantastic, like to hear. I'm glad that this is happening. I really am. Uh, not like I said earlier, not everybody is cut out for college. Okay. And ahead of time if you're cut out for college. I wasn't cut out for college right away. out of high school. So I went into the military. Okay, the military was once a great place to go into. I wouldn't so much nowadays just because of all the woke bullshit that's going on in the military. They're concentrating more on Marxist stuff. The leadership. It's not really rank and file personnel. Okay, there are some obviously that are like glued to this and like they're with it. Okay, but they're wasting so much money on dumb shit. It's just a waste of time in the military right now. And I I get it why people aren't what do you call it enlisting and stuff like that. They just recently had to in the NDAA, okay, um, that just passed. That's essentially the funding for the military on a yearly basis. They had to put in there that men who are 18 to 26 are going to automatically get registered for selective service. It used to be that when you were 18, you got all kinds of notifications to your house. Okay, when you turned 18, the government was Johnny on the spot with that shit, and you had to sign yourself up for the draft. So essentially, we haven't had a draft since Vietnam, and it's just to make sure if you're from the ages of 18, it was to 36, I guess it's now to 26. Um, it might still be the 36. If anybody knows that, drop that in the comment. You have to what do you call it? Sign up for selective service. Now they're just gonna sign you up. They're gonna register you uh, right away. So the government's gonna do it for you, which I think is bullshit. There's a whole host of shit that comes with not like signing up and stuff like that. Like it's a felony not to sign up. A lot of people don't do it, but it is a felony, and they'll come after you. Um, you get all kinds of shit from the post office and everything when you're 18. Listen, you can't get government jobs, especially government jobs. Like they want to see your selective service card. They want like there's a number that comes with your card and stuff like that. It's crazy. It's crazy stuff. Uh, you know, but this is good to see that the trades, okay, that the people, okay, are doing their things. Okay, I'm really, really happy about that. I'm happy that Gen Z is back at it. Okay, I'm really, really proud of you for making this. I'm sorry I'm not looking at you. I'm just in the middle of trying to do something here. uh, I'm really happy for Gen Z. Okay, because I know one of the things with Gen Z is that they're just like, I don't want to work for anybody. I don't want to do this. Okay. It's just not my thing. And I get it. Okay. No one says that you have to work as a plumber or an electrician or a steam fitter or work in, just any of the trades forever. If you learn your trade well enough and you're really good at it and you excel, you can start your own business. And you don't have to wait till your 50s to do that. You can do that, excuse me, I have to drink something. You could do that in your 30s, right? You get a good like 10 years of solid work in with a company or a couple of companies and you're learning as you go. Sorry about that, America. And you're learning as you go. You go and start your own company. I started my own company. Uh, I failed miserably at it because I had two shit partners and I was a shit owner and I didn't protect myself. Okay, I thought I knew what I was doing. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, and I failed. Okay, now that doesn't mean I'm afraid to do it again. I'm not afraid to do it again, especially now that I know the mistakes that I made, that I won't make the same mistakes. But I've been out of construction for so long that I wouldn't do it at this point. I just thought things have changed. The construction industry changes rapidly. So if you're like a smart person and you're looking to just get ahead and you're looking to move on to things and stuff like that, the trades are a fantastic way to get ahead. And if you want to make money at a young age, okay, fast, like good money, I knew some of these kids that were working on my construction sites were in their early 20s and they were making like 60, $70,000 off the rip. Okay. 1 year, 2 years in, and they're still an apprentice, okay, with the trades union, they're still considered apprentices, but they were making like 60, $70,000. They're making good money. There's also like regular labor unions. That's like manual labor stuff, right? You work on like we had laborers on our job site that were part of our company. They were union, so we had to go to a union hall to hire them and stuff. But they were actually part of our company for the GC I worked for. That's a general contractor, and they were responsible for keeping everything clean on the job site. They would do minor fixes, not for the trades, but like for us. They weren't allowed to do any of the trades work. The trades are you can't just do one trade from another. You have to be specific. But I know for a fact though, when I left construction in New York City, almost 60% of the jobs were like non-union. Okay, so non-union work was really, really happening. And there were a lot of companies that were hiring at the time trying to bring on non-union because it's cheaper. If you hire someone from the union, you got to pay them a certain rate, right? So even us as general contractors, we had to get rates from the union on what the from whoever our contractor or subcontractor was for whatever trade. We had to, we had to follow those rates per the union. Okay, so when we were hiring union people, and we couldn't just we could hire non-union people for certain things, but they had to follow along with the unions. So it's like, some of the things, for instance, some of the jobs I had, all the electricians did all pulled all the wire and stuff like that, and the low voltage they did that too. But on one job I had, they let a non-union subcontractor pull the low voltage, but they weren't allowed to put devices on. So they could do all the wiring on the project, okay, and run all the cables and everything that's low voltage. That's not like high powered voltage, but the electrician still had to hook up the devices because that was the agreement. So there's plenty of work out there, people. Just go out there, Gen Z, go get it. Okay, I know you guys are into you know, really getting ahead. I know you guys. You guys have been sold a bill of goods. That's bullshit. Okay. Not everybody's gonna be a TikTok famous. Not everybody's gonna be a YouTube content creator and be famous. Not everybody. That's just. I only have 8 subscribers or 9. I think I finally hit 9. All right. And I'm doing this because I just want to talk to you in America, and I want to bring up things that Americans might want to hear, and things that might have missed because the mainstream media doesn't really give us the information we need. There was a time in this country where our media was really just that. Like we would get not just we had news in the morning, news in the afternoon, news in the evening, and then news at night. So we have 4 times during the day you could get news. And it wasn't, sometimes it was the same thing, you would hear the same thing, but there was other things that happened throughout the day that they would bring to you, breaking news. You would get breaking news. Now it's the same shit on repeat with the cable companies, and you get it over and over. Even the local news is just terrible now. It's just horrible. So I feel bad for everybody. But Gen Z, just go out there and get it. Uh, don't be afraid to be a tradesperson. Don't be afraid. Okay, you will learn so much. My son learned welding. Okay, he has his own business right now. He's not. I think he was doing the welding because he likes to build cars, and he likes to work on frames and stuff. I think that's because he really likes to build cars. But he learned some electrical stuff when he was in the military. He worked on F-18s when he was in the military, and he wanted to be a welder. He started his own business. He does stonework. That's a trade, doing stonework. That's another thing. Like it's not just electricians and steam fitters, but like we had people, brick masons, okay? Masons. They had to do, they're the ones that put in bricks and cinder blocks into a building, and you still have to know math for that. You got to know how to read drawings and know, you know, what size cinder block, what size brick goes. You had to know how much mortar you have to use, and the amount. It's all in detail. There are concrete guys, okay? You got to know math for that shit too. So all of you Gen Z people who are very, very smart, okay, and you way smarter than the generations that came before you, okay. You are the most tech savvy generation that I have ever met. You will run circles around any of us old folk when it comes to this. I happen to be somewhat knowledgeable with tech. I'm not as good as any of you guys, but I can learn stuff because I just can learn shit. I take the time to learn stuff, but it doesn't come to me very easy. But your generation, Gen Z, and Gen A, behind them, okay? Don't be afraid to go to these jobs. These jobs will give you, okay, good money at a young age, and then you can start your own business, right? You want to be independent. You want to use the entrepreneurial spirit that you have inside of you, because I know a lot of you have that. Just become independent and do your own thing, right? And just start your own business. Be smart about it. Learn when you go to these jobs. Learn. But you know, that's enough of my rant on going to work. It's tough right now out there. I want people to succeed. I know it's hard right now, but I just want you all to succeed. Well, unless you've been living under a rock in Uzbekistan somewhere, Star Wars is probably officially dead. I stopped watching Star Wars in full after season 3 of Mandalorian. I just wasn't it. And then I had to watch that dumb fucking Boba Fett season of Boba Fett. Was horrible. Ahsoka, who was one of my favorite characters in the Clone Wars, okay. Uh, it was just a disaster. But Star Wars is dead. I'm gonna show you guys really quick. I'm not gonna get into any articles because that'll take forever. People have written a whole bunch of great articles, but look, we're gonna go to Rotten Tomatoes so you can see for yourself. All right, look, 84%. Those are the shills, okay? Those are the shills. The people who are getting paid by Disney to what do you call it? Write good stuff. Otherwise, they won't be allowed to do stuff. This is what counts right here. You see this 15%? That's what counts. These are the fans. So 85% of the real fans hate this shit. This 15% that's holding on strong, those are the people who aren't real Star Wars fans. They're you know, they're just the people who are like, oh, you're an istophobe because you don't like this. Listen, this is the most horrible thing I have ever seen. I've seen so many videos, so much footage from this garbage that's called the Acolyte that I don't even know what to tell you, America. I was a huge Star Wars fan, really, really huge. Let's hit this. Look, okay, so you have all critics is 84%. Even the top critics hit it with 72%. So it keeps dropping. When I first saw this last week, when they released the first, or it was like 2 weeks ago when they released the first one, okay, first 2 episodes, I think it was at like 96% because, like I said, the shills were just all into this shit. Okay, uh, we're not there anymore, people. We are just not there anymore. It's garbage. Okay, the Acolyte is freaking garbage. You know, I was a huge fan of Star Wars growing up, and Disney has taken George Lucas's vision and absolutely destroyed it. And it's all on Kathleen Kennedy and Dave Filoni, and now they got this. The showrunner for the Acolyte is Leslie Headland, I think that's her name. She was Harvey Weinstein's assistant, so she stood by idle while Harvey Weinstein was what do you call it, preying on women. So this is terrible. It's really, really fucking horrible. I don't even know what to say. It's just such garbage. It really is. But we're gonna just so you guys, if you haven't watched it yet, here's something. This is from Nerdrotic. It's pretty funny. I found it. He posted this last week. This was from episode 3 of The Acolyte. This is what you're in for, America. Okay? This is what you're in for. I had to see the shit, so you got to see this shit too. This is Star Wars, the new Disney Star Wars, America. And of course, everything's not working for me right now. Jesus. Never fails for me. Never fails. Let us sneeze. Those is itchy. We'll get this right, America. Every time I want to get some shit, it just doesn't work for me. All right, finally. It was like a lag. All right, let's get into this. I know you heard it in the background. Now you're going to see it. America, listen, this is Disney. Star Wars is not a musical.
The power of two. The power of many. The power of one. The power of two. The power of many.
What the hell is that piece of shit? Just stop. What the fuck is that? All right, I don't want to put you guys through so much pain again. Disney Star Wars, America. Disney Star Wars. Look, lesbian head case, Dave Fallopian Tubes, and Kathleen Palpatine have absolutely finally put the final nail in the coffin of what was once a beautiful and glorious franchise, George Lucas's Star Wars. I was a huge fan. They have taken a huge dump on 3 generations of fans and have told us all to go fuck ourselves. Okay. And when we were looking at the audience score, the 15%, that's who they're trying to cater to, the 15%. It's really more like 2% of people who they're trying to cater to, and they're fucking over 98% of the people who made Star Wars what it was and poured a lot of heart, okay, and soul into not only watching the movies but getting their kids into it. And then their kids got into it as well. Okay. Their kids got into it. And then once their kids got into it, they showed it to their kids. So it was 3 generations of fans that Kathleen Kennedy, Dave Filoni, and now this Leslie Headland character has told people to go fuck themselves. And she's done interviews. You can see them on, I'm not going to get into it. You can see them on, many of people have covered it. So you can see it on YouTube and Twitter and Instagram. And there've been a lot of just, they get all these people who just suck. Okay. I don't know what to say. I really am, honestly, I'm at a fucking loss. I am at a complete loss. So my official name for them is called the fucking Asscolyte. Okay. Because they're ass. Uh, that's the name of the show that I'm calling it. It's just horrible. Oh man, I'm getting news being dropped on me, so I might just jump into it and share some of this with you guys. It's just a terrible thing, man. Star Wars is dead, people. I don't know what to tell you. It is an abysmal thing. It is terrible. Star Wars for me will always be the original movies, prequels, and the expanded universe. I read a lot of the expanded universe, and they had it. They had everything they needed, okay, to make great things. The last set of books that I read were called Fate of the Jedi, and go out and read those books. I don't even want to spoil it for you because they were phenomenal. They took some of the best authors over the decades of the expanded universe and they made them write 10 books. Sorry, my nose is a little clogged for whatever reason. So I keep scratching my nose. It's itchy. I don't know why. They took the best authors and had them write 10 of the books. And I think a few of them wrote like 2 books each of the 10-book cycle. I believe it was like 10 books. And they made it fantastic. It was just it was amazing. And they've absolutely destroyed what was once phenomenal franchise. Okay. Uh, it's really sad. It's really, really sad. But, go on, go. Listen, if you like this stuff, this message is not for you. Go like this stuff. You're free to like whatever you want. It's America. Okay. Just because, 98% of the fan base is like, fuck you guys. You guys suck. We're not going to support you anymore. Uh, doesn't mean that you don't have to like it. So if you're watching this, you're like, well, I kind of liked it, then like it. There's no big deal. Okay, I appreciate it. We should all have separate ideas about things. We don't all have to. Again, like I said, we don't live in a hive community. We don't have to do things, okay, that are you know the same as everybody else. You don't have to do that, America. Do your own thing. If you want to watch The Acolyte, watch it. So I'm not telling anybody not to watch it. I'm just saying it's garbage for me. The stuff that I watched, I've seen enough video of it, the video footage of it, to know that it's just crap, and it's nothing that it's worse than it's just worse. It's the worst. Okay, they got lesbians making babies. Somehow they've made Anakin is no longer the chosen one because of this. They use the Force, which they don't call the Force anymore. They call it the fucking thread. It's a fucking travesty. It is an absolute disaster. They turned it into a musical. You see, episode 3 was a musical. It's just I don't know who they're going after. Their fans is not the American fan base that made Star Wars what it is by supporting it. They can't sell toys. It is a utter and complete disaster. They are catering to 2% of the world, okay? And, nobody wants it. Nobody wants to see this shit. It's just a terrible fucking thing. And they're doing it with everything. You see it with Warhammer now. Is in the fucking gutter. Henry Cavill was going to be doing Warhammer, and he's no. I don't know how that's going anymore. Okay, I honestly don't know. I don't know how that's going to go. It looks like Games Workshop together with Amazon Prime is absolutely fucking everything up. They're just they retcon shit with the Custodes, making it that there were women in the Custodes. There were never women in the Astartes at all. In not only just the Custodes, but any of the Space Marine chapters at all. Yeah, I know. I like a lot of these IPs. Okay, I know a little bit about. I knew a lot about Star Wars. Like I said, I read a lot of the expanded universe. Okay, but like I read a little bit of Warhammer. I didn't know much about Warhammer, but I know a little bit. I played enough video games, okay, to get some storyline, and I've read a few books here and there. Not enough. They're books you can't read them in any kind of order. It's just the whole Imperium, okay, Terran Imperium is absolutely all over the fucking place. The history is, it is meant to be that way, right? So like it keeps bringing you back. Okay, so you get a piece of history here in one book, you get a piece of history in like three books later that might tie into that book, or it's just a completely, totally different history to something else. And it's meant that way, and it's what it is what has kept the lore is what has kept people into Warhammer. And now they're just fucking everything up. They just want to get the minute they linked up with Amazon, with Prime, Amazon Prime, they fucked it all up. Okay, because Amazon Prime is on woke shit too, right? You see what's going on with the boys. I read the boys comics, right? I read them as graphic novels because they sell them that way too. Okay, I couldn't even get through the first season of the boys. It was just like, well, this is like garbage to me. It was garbage to me, and they weren't on any bullshit like a lot of the woke bullshit that's going on in Star Wars and in Marvel and stuff like that. They weren't even really on that. I just because I'm kind of a purist, right? I read these books and I read comics and I just I like to stick to the original source material. I understand that directors are gonna and showrunners are gonna take some liberty with creative, control and stuff like that, and creativity, and they're gonna change some things here and there that they may want to change. But if you stick mainly to the source material on a lot of these IPs, you could never really fuck it up. And Star Wars had a whole expanded universe, right? But what was the first thing that Kathleen Kennedy did? She wiped it out and said that the EU doesn't exist and we're gonna call it Legends. She literally, out of her mouth, said there was no source material for Star Wars. They literally had decades of some of the greatest stories in Star Wars in books that could have easily not only been turned to, I think the Fate of the Jedi would have been tough to make all of those, like cram those into three movies and make sequels out of them. But even if they did that, right, they could have went back and told some of the shit that came before it in cartoons and animated it, and they would be making a killing right now. You know, I don't know if Star Wars can be fixed. In my mind, I think there is a way to fix it based on the Filoni universe and things that he's done and stuff like that in the past. There is a way to fix it all. They won't see that. They don't have the clarity to see that. So Star Wars is going to be dead. Marvel's is dead. The boys, I can't even watch them because, like I said, I read the comic, but they deviated so much from the comics that it was like I couldn't enjoy it. If like they would have just stayed somewhat into it, I would have been able to. I would have been able to enjoy it a little bit, you know. But I really couldn't. I couldn't continue to watch it. I didn't, like I said, I didn't even get into. I didn't even get through the first season. The animated Invincible on Amazon Prime, they deviated from the comics as well. I was like, what the fuck? Like nothing is sacred. I watched the first season and I was like, they deviated so much from the comics that I didn't even watch. I haven't even watched the second season, and I think Adam. I think she has her own series to have like a little mini series. I can't even watch any of that stuff because it's deviated so much from the source material. Again, I understand with selecting things and changing things a little bit as a director, you're going to take a little, you know, creativity of your own and add to it, or maybe take out from it because you don't think it's going to fit the story you're trying to tell. But if you stay with the source material, no matter what the IP is, okay, you'll never, ever, ever, ever lose. Okay. But America, I just wanted to say that I love you all. Glad that if you tuned in, I'm glad that you tuned in. And you know, I just want to say again, thank you. So I would like, okay, I would like to thank you, the viewer, for tuning in and taking the time out of your day to watch and listen. I must remind you that the opinions and takes on today's shows are just that, opinions and takes. I must also remind you that this show is an echo chamber for like minded people. We don't have to agree on everything. I only ask that you take the time to do your own search for information and come to your own conclusions. All media used today will be placed in the description link to the original sources. Well, America, that's a wrap. God bless you all. God bless America. This is the big red one guy signing out. And always remember that together we must break the machine.